New policy signals and mint changes reveal key insights about silver. Something unusual has been happening in the silver market, not on price charts, not in social media hype, and not in retail speculation. It's happening quietly inside government mints, central bank policies, and official silver supply channels. Over the past few months, multiple national mints have begun making subtle but important changes, adjusting silver product pricing, limiting availability, delaying deliveries, and revising internal policies around bullion production. None of these moves were announced loudly. None of them made mainstream headlines, but together they tell a very clear story. The physical silver market is under stress, and the institutions closest to the metal are reacting first. For most people, silver is just another commodity, something that goes up, something that goes down. But for governments, mints, and central banks, silver is not a speculative asset. It's strategic material. Silver is used in national coinage programs, military electronics, energy infrastructure, medical systems, and increasingly, green technology. When official institutions begin changing how they handle silver, it's rarely about price. It's about availability. Let's start with the role of government mints. Mints exist for one primary reason: to convert raw metal into trusted, legal, standardized forms. Bullion coins, bars, official silver products. When supply is healthy, mint operations are boring. Production runs smoothly. Pricing remains predictable. Availability is consistent. When supply tightens, mints are among the first institutions to feel it. And lately, the signals have been hard to ignore. Across multiple countries, mints have begun, increasing premiums over spot price, introducing temporary purchasing limits, delaying shipments, prioritizing institutional or bulk orders over retail. These aren't demand-side decisions. They are supply management decisions. When mints raise premiums, they're not just chasing profit. They're rationing metal. Higher premiums slow demand. Limits prevent inventory from being wiped out. Delays buy time. These are classic behaviors seen in constrained commodity environments. Here's the key insight most people miss. Government mints do not speculate. They don't chase rallies. They don't front-run hype. They react to inventory reality. When a mint adjusts policy, it's because delivery contracts are tightening, refiners are facing delays, raw silver supply is harder to source at scale. This isn't theory. This is how physical commodity logistics work. Now let's zoom out. Why is silver supply tightening in the first place? This isn't happening in isolation. Silver has been running structural deficits for years. Annual demand has consistently exceeded annual supply, not by a little, but by hundreds of millions of ounces cumulatively. Mining output has stagnated. New discoveries are rare. Permitting timelines are long. Grades are declining. At the same time, industrial demand is exploding. Silver is no longer just a monetary metal. It is an industrial input for solar panels, electric vehicles, advanced electronics, data centers, medical equipment. Unlike gold, silver is consumed. Once it's used in many applications, it's not economically recoverable. That means demand doesn't just shift, it permanently removes supply from the market. Now add one more layer. Governments themselves are increasing strategic stockpiling, not just of silver, but of critical materials. In a world of trade fragmentation, sanctions, supply chain weaponization, control over raw materials has become a national security concern. Silver sits right at that intersection. Energy, defense, technology, currency, credibility. This is why mint behavior matters so much. They sit at the junction of industrial demand and monetary supply. Here's something else that doesn't get enough attention. When mints tighten silver availability, they're often reacting to upstream signals from refiners and wholesalers. These entities see longer delivery times, smaller lot sizes, higher sourcing costs. By the time the retail investor notices shortages, the problem has already traveled through multiple layers of the supply chain. Mint policy changes are not early signals, they are confirmation signals. Now let's talk about pricing, because this is where confusion sets in. Many people ask, if silver supply is tight, why isn't the price exploding? The answer lies in the difference between paper silver and physical silver. The majority of silver price discovery happens in derivatives markets, futures, options, paper contracts. These markets can expand supply synthetically. Physical silver cannot. When mints raise premiums while spot prices remain volatile, it's a sign that paper markets are liquid, physical markets are constrained. That divergence is one of the most important signals in commodities, and it's widening. Now let's connect this to policy. Governments don't just mint coins. They regulate trade, they influence exports, they control strategic reserves. Recent policy discussions in multiple countries point toward greater scrutiny on metal exports, Strategic material classification, domestic prioritization of supply, silver increasingly fits into the same category as copper, lithium, rare earths, not officially yet, but directionally. Once a metal becomes strategically important, free market availability changes. This is why mint behavior should be watched more closely than headlines. They don't make announcements, they don't issue warnings, they simply adjust quietly. But history shows a pattern. Before major moves in precious metals, coin availability tightens, premiums expand, official supply becomes selective. We saw this before. In previous commodity supercycles, during monetary stress periods, ahead of inflationary shifts, the pattern is repeating. Now, what does this mean for everyday investors? First, this is not about panic buying, it's about understanding structure. Silver is transitioning from being viewed as a cheap alternative to gold to being treated as a critical industrial and strategic resource that changes behavior at the institutional level first. Retail always comes later. Second, it highlights the growing gap between price and access. You may still see a spot price, but access at that price becomes theoretical. Premiums matter, availability matters, delivery timelines matter. Mint's tightening policy is a signal that access is becoming more valuable than price. Third, it reframes silver's role in portfolios. Silver is no longer just a hedge, it's a supply-constrained asset tied to global policy trends. Energy transition, geopolitical fragmentation, strategic stockpiling. These are long-term forces. Now let's be clear about risks. Silver is volatile. It always has been. Policy shifts don't remove that volatility. They amplify it. Periods of tight supply often lead to sharp upside moves, followed by violent corrections. This is not a smooth market, but it is a structurally changing one. Here's the most important takeaway. When governments and mints start behaving differently, it means something fundamental is shifting beneath the surface. They don't react to headlines, they react to logistics, inventories, and policy directives. Right now, those signals are lashing, quietly, consistently, globally. So no, this isn't about a single mint or a single policy tweak, or a temporary shortage. It's about silver moving into a new category in the global system, from overlooked metal to strategic material. And once that transition begins, it rarely reverses. This doesn't mean silver goes up every day. It doesn't mean shortages tomorrow. And it doesn't mean guarantees. What it means is that the rules governing silver are changing. And as always in markets, those who understand structural change early have options. Those who ignore it are forced to react later. The quiet signals matter most, and right now, silver is sending them.